Hello, hello, hello again. I'm so fortunate to be back here again to another episode of Tell Me Something Good. Today, we span the globe. We go all the way to Australia to my friend Mary Henderson. She is just a delight. I am blessed to have been on the cover of her magazine, her online magazine called Authority 5.0. She gets it. She's a personal branding expert. The conversation that we're going to have now is a must listen to. So, Mary, tell me something good.
Oh my God. Well, where do I start? This is the thing, Steve. When somebody asks me, tell me what you want, tell me something about you, or, what are you here for? I always say, let me think about what part of my story I want to start from. So now I'm going to think of what part of my story I want to start from. Well, first of all, let me just introduce myself. My passion is to commercialize personal brands. And what that means is that I'm passionate about working with human beings, not corporations, but human beings in an organization or individuals who have a specialization in an area of their expertise, and they want to digitalize that knowledge predominantly in an online environment. And they want to become an authority in their niche or their industry. And that's my little baby. That's what I'm passionate about. That's my mission.
And you know what? When you can marry your passion with something you're good at, there's the bonanza, and you certainly are extremely good. There's not very many people that I follow to learn from, not from a cockiness, but just because I'm, pretty schooled in all this stuff, and your content is absolutely spot on.
Thanks, Steve. It's actually interesting that you say that because we spoke about this earlier, and I'm really lucky. I really do believe I'm lucky. I have been able to merge the three loves of my life and call that a vocation. I'm really lucky. Not very many people can say that. So when I work with people, I'm not working. My creativity is literally on fire 24/7 because I love what I do and it's my natural state. What I do is very natural to me. So that's really, really vital for anyone that's wanting to start their journey as an entrepreneur. That part's critical to really understand what your natural state looks like.
Can you share those three passions for the audience?
Yeah. So the
Excuse me.
first part is my personal branding methodology, which I came face to face with in year 2000. So 20 years later, I'm still
Wow.
at this thing called personal branding. No one knew what it was 20
You were 1 year old then, right? That 20 years
That's
ago,
right.
that was.
Come on. You know, how good was I? I'm
Awesome.
pretty genetics, okay? And
Works, man. It's working.
and the other part is the actual digital arm of my business. But this is something that I actually did as my own business. In 2005, I started my own digital agency, and we specialized in building membership systems from ground up for the academic sector. So there's that experience there. And then, of course, sales, which is pretty much my corporate career has been based on just purely a sales focus. And those three things, which they are the loves of my life. And then when I merged those three things together, suddenly I had a solution to a complex problem. And it's served me exceptionally well. And I just, I think that those three areas today, how funny, they're fundamental in anyone that's wanting to stand out, be seen, and be heard. Those three aspects are vitally important. It doesn't matter whether you're a coach or a sales professional or a CEO. Those three aspects are critical today more now than ever before.
I totally, totally agree. The validation of that is you're all the way across the globe.
Yeah.
We're speaking, I think Australia's 14 hours ahead of us. There's no other landscape, no other sandbox that we could have ever been
No.
introduced to each other, networked, and have
No.
a consistent way to stay in touch with each other than tools that you're talking about. So, I'm obviously a big fan as well.
Absolutely. And that's a really interesting point, Steve. I have no interest in this notion of the traditional networking where you wake up at 6 a.m, you go and attend an event, eat donuts and bad coffee, and hopefully you might meet somebody. Okay. Why would I do that if LinkedIn for me is networking on steroids? It's the only way I can describe it. I connect, Steve, with on average, every day, at least 50 new connections every day. This is my target audience I'm talking about. Okay. Not just anybody. Strategically and deliberately handpicking my target audience and starting a conversation with them. That is power.
I don't know any other place you could do that. And for me, the thing that's so great about that, and I love the words that you use, but it's very strategic. You're not shooting at everybody. You're going after the ones that you think you should have a relevant conversation with. So it's very specialized. But the best part for me is that when I do reach out to people, as I do the same, they have a chance to see me before we have a conversation. I control what they know about me. So it's not the fumbling around that you did at an old network event where, oh, tell me about yourself. And,
Please.
Hey, here's who I am. Here's what I do. Here's what I'm passionate about. If you don't like guys that wear bold blazers, I'm not your guy.
That's
Move
right.
on. Great.
Exactly. Steve, actually, that's a really important point because, I and am unapologetically myself. You are as well. My core value is truth. So everything I produce has to marry that value. That's not going to resonate with a lot of people because I say things that make people feel uncomfortable. That's not my tribe. I'm good with that. I'm really okay with that. And this is where, this notion around social selling is so powerful because we are in a situation where we can actually choose who we want in our tribe and who we don't want in our tribe. And we have options and tools to be able to remove people from our ecosystem or invite them in our ecosystem. The other thing is, and I think this is even more important, you just touched on this, you're controlling what you want people to see. But there's one more aspect to this as well, Steve. It's I am being judged. You are being judged. Everyone that's listening to us right now is being judged actually by their social currency. So people will look at our followers and decide in their head, this person must be of influence, or this person must be good at what they do because they have so many people following them. And let me now check out their content. And to your point, I want you, Steve, to see what I put out. I don't want you to see my children. I don't want you to see that stuff. That stuff happens on other social media platforms, but on LinkedIn, as far as I'm concerned, it's all strategic and deliberate. So this idea of actually being in control of what people see and how people, the perception that you want people to create about you is absolutely critical.
So we can talk for hours because you get it. You and I both are in the same space, coaching CEOs, coaching sales, professionals. What are you finding the biggest fear or the biggest barrier to entry to the people you're working with? I mean, I know my answer. I'm curious what yours is, and we can kind of compare notes.
I think right now, this is just my observation, relevance is the top agenda for everybody. Whether you're a CEO or a senior executive, relevance is critical. You can actually see that just through the sheer content that people are producing on the platform. It's a lot of it is just nonsense. I don't understand it. I have no concept. Well, it's part of the noise, but saying that, I have to say, okay, you're out there, you're creating content. Awesome. Love that. Brilliant that you've actually taken the step to actually be seen and be heard. I actually love that. But here's where it goes wrong. If you're going to create content, put it in context. Okay. If you want my attention, you must put it in context. So if you want to stay relevant, let's talk about the things that will actually make you stand out and be relevant. Because let's just pick a topic like leadership, for example. What is leadership today, Steve? It's nothing. It's lost its currency across politics, across CEOs in large, medium, and small corporations.
Well, because you lost the trust. Once you
That's
lose the trust,
exactly right.
it's gone. Right?
It's gone. So now, as a CEO or as a CFO or a CMO, so many CMOs have actually lost their jobs. How do these people stay relevant now? Just saying, how do you stay
Yeah.
relevant?
Right.
Because
Yeah.
if you don't have a YouTube channel, if you're not active on social media, what value do you actually bring to an organization? Oh, and by the way, God forbid if you don't actually understand how to mine data from the AI machines, because that's a critical part of the roles now, whether you're in marketing or finance or even sales, you need to understand how to make sense of that data. So all of these different elements now fall under the banner of leadership or a CEO or whoever. And there's so many different nuances that are playing out right now. But I think the most important one is, how do I stay relevant? That's a big one.
Interesting. For me, I think the people that I've coached have a really difficult time coming to grips that their content needs to be about them. Get out in front of it. This is who I am. This is what I've learned. I mean, in the beginning for me, people said, well, you just got to share what you know. And I was like, what are you talking about? It took me 40 years to develop this content. What do you mean just give it away? And legitimately, the more I have shared who I am, what makes me tick, and what I know, what
Yeah.
my superpower is, the more people come to me and go, oh, you're the guy. I mean, there are people who have decided to work with me long before we've had a conversation because they're following my thought process. Listen, you posted the magazine last night, which, by the way, I want my whole audience to go back, check out the other people. You've had great. I mean, I know it's fairly new, but you're on a roll. You got some really quality people in there. I'm not sure how I snuck in, but you asked me to write real stuff in that.
Yeah.
I gave that article real stuff. You didn't allow me to go, here's some fluffy, here's some pablum and go chew on that. And the comments already on LinkedIn were like, wow, that was a great takeaway. Wow, this guy gets it. What, what better validation do you want of your work than when other people go, wow, I get that. That's not bullshit. That's not the stuff you hear on the news, or, when people don't know and they try and fake it,
Well, the thing is that I think that what a lot of people especially in the corporate landscape, what's happened is that, think about this for a moment. You come out of the school system, you go into university, then you get a job. But when you're actually in a job, even as you're climbing up the corporate ranks, you've still got that mindset of student teacher, like seriously. And so that means that your creative freedom is actually taken away. Now your whole career is based on technical skills. You need adaptable skills. You need creative skills. You need complex problem skills. You need relationship skills, right?
Wow.
All of these things are not a part of the repertoire. The repertoire is all about, okay, do you have these skills? Great, you'll fit that job role. And then that job role, the technical skills is not enough. It's just not enough anymore. So now we're asking ourselves, I've lost my job because of COVID-19, for example. I'm a CMO, and now I'm in fear because for me to now get a job, there's a waiting list because I'm now competing with another 500 people, not 5 people, but 500. How do I now stay relevant? How do I stand out in that?
That is so well said. I mean, it is, and this whole idea that all of the businesses I have built, the mindset was, and this was pre-social media, was I wanted to be one of the choices when they made a decision to either buy that product or service. I never, for whatever reason, went in with, I got to sell them this.
Yes.
I always said, and that's how I trained my salespeople, I'm going to sell you me. And if you buy me, the only thing I ask you is when you come in the market, I want to be one of the 2 choices. Yeah. Well, the only way that you can do that at scale is with social media. Absolutely. And So all I do is stay top of mind, and to your point, use the word relevant, where the funnel went upside down. All of a sudden, business is coming to me, and as a 40-year sales guy, nobody ever knocked on my door with a bucket of money and go, "Hey, could you help me spend this?"
But you know what? You just said something really important there. And this is actually what, anyone that's listening to this, the key takeaway to what you just said is that you have, whether it's conscious or subconscious, you've created a pull strategy, not a push strategy. Okay.
Correct.
This is your mindset. Obviously, for many, many years, you understand the power of that. Now, on social media, or forget social media, just today and what's going on in the market right now, having a pull strategy is where relevance actually starts. That's where it starts. And we need to understand what that actually means rather than reading it in a textbook and saying, oh, you know what, that's how you pull rather than push. No.
So funny.
You can't, this is not textbook learning. This is experiential. You've got to experience it to understand it. So what you've just said is actually vitally important, Steve.
I come up with usually one idea every day, so I'm done. I don't have to think anymore. That's a joke, obviously. So I want to shift the gears to a real example of personal branding. And in our conversation, you nailed it so on point. I'm like, better than anybody has framed it up. What is the one thing that stands out about your personal brand?
My shoes.
My shoes. So why don't you share that? Because that's a real validation of why this works and how it works, not only in online, offline, everywhere. Go.
I don't think people understand the notion around having a brand signature. This is what I call this my brand signature, because it's the breadcrumbs I leave behind. When I'm meeting with somebody and I leave that office, especially if it's a boardroom, I want to be remembered by something, okay? And my shoes have always been the conversation starters because they are absolutely drop dead gorgeous. But I got this idea, Steve, when I was in corporate, in director of sales role, lots of big team, and I was signing up channel partners. We were, I was spent a lot of time in boardrooms in the tech industry till this day. It's very male dominated. So how was I going to grab attention? Because the idea, you walk into a room when you're negotiating, if you want to win in negotiation, you have to own the room in the first 10 seconds. That's it. That's where the game starts and ends. And I knew that. And so I also knew that the PA to the people that I was negotiating with would always walk in and ask me for a coffee or a tea or a water. But and 99.99% of the times it was a female. So she would eye me out up and down 99.9% of the time. And I knew that, but I played with that. I used that as my superpower. And I thought, oh my God, that's the idea. I am going to, because I wore these amazing shoes one day, and this PA of the CEO that I was dealing with said, oh my God, those shoes. And that's when the penny dropped. I thought, that's how I'm going to own the room. And that's how I built a business from 4 million to 54 million in 48 months, not because of the shoes, but because I knew how to own the room and negotiate. I just understood that. And it started with that first 10 seconds. That was just—
I get it.
That's it.
I know.
What happened
I know. It's fascinating for me because I used to teach people in my own companies how to work a room, and they would go, well, I don't, there's 100 people here. How do I know who I should approach? And I go, if you really pay attention to the details, you'll know. And for me, forget about the fact that I grew up in the shoe business. When I see a well-dressed woman, head to toe, bam, wearing great shoes, same for a guy. You can walk in and know the 3 people that you need to approach.
Absolutely.
And my approach was always, hey, I noticed you from across the room. My name is Steve. Would you just tell me your story? And so if you take that from offline and put it online, it's the same exact thing. When I see you, I know that's somebody I need to meet.
Exactly.
And now the barrier is zero.
That's
you can really swim up right next to them.
And and online I use my my brand color, which is hot pink. And you know how many people say to me when they meet me, Steve, Mary, whenever I see hot pink, I always think of you.
Good for you.
It's not brain
Fantastic.
surgery,
It's not brain surgery, but you are really, really good at it. This has been tremendous. As I said, I could talk to you forever. In our closing few seconds, what something good do you want to leave with my audience beyond the page of notes I took already, man? Your vocabulary, your positioning, everything is stellar. What do you want to leave my audience with?
I want people to really understand that personal branding is not a cliche. It really is not. It is about converting your specialization into a business or a brand that can be memorable, or it can be commercialized, either or both. And there are a lot of people that talk about personal branding, and there's a lot of shenanigans around it. All I'm saying is, once you understand what you can do with the data that you extract from who you are as a brand, that can take you to a lot of places.
Unbelievable. Today was tremendous. I will share your information with my entire audience. Today I'll be sharing today I'll be sharing the magazine Authority 5.0. So just incredible, incredible, incredible. Thank you so
Thank
much
you,
for spending the time. You
You're
are
welcome.
2 words, genuine and authentic, and that wins every time. So that is something really good.
Thank you, Steve. Thank you.
We'll be
Thanks,
in
guys.
touch.
See you
Bye-bye.
later.